This conference will now be recorded.
Good morning. So we have gone through how to create VPCs and then subnets, also history instances, and then we have seen how to create these instances in those subnets and then VPCs. Right? This is what we have gone through. But let's talk about how we can use our configurations files. So with some reusability concepts. Okay. So how we can reuse them? So the concept is variables. So what do you mean by reusability? So I have an configuration file, and that configuration file I want to use to create different instances. Okay. So I have one configuration file, main.tf file, and the same configuration file I want to use it for creating different instances. So how you can manage it? That means how we can reuse those configuration files for different purposes. So we can use it with the help of variables. So let's talk about that. So before that, let me log into our instance. That is kind of this. That's our Terraform instance server. Just log in to that instance. Right. So going to where we create our Terraform scripts. I think that's in root directory. Then we have Terraform scripts. And then, so we have done two things. Okay. So that was yesterday's example. This was a previous example. Okay. So let me make another directory, something like so. VAX. We can make it any folder name, any directory. There is no standard names for this. Okay. And with VAX. And then, so let's make a configuration file. So main.tf file. And then here, so first write provider, which is AWS is a provider, and open that loop and then close it, and we write so region. So the region is AP South 1. It's a region, and then so version. Mention the version. So this is a representation of the version. Okay, this is how you represent the version. Then any version you can go with 2.0 something. Okay. Resource. Right. Resources. I would like to go with a resource called AWS underscore instance is a resource. Since I want to create an instance, now go with the resource. You can give some name. Let's say it's something like TF instance. Okay. So let's say TF underscore instance underscore variable. Okay. Then, so what do we write here? We write the AMI, right? So we write the AMI, we give the AMI value there. And then also we provide instance underscore type. So instance type, and the instance type is, so okay, let's also go with instance type, leave that. Okay. So these are the two mandatory things. So whenever you write your, so what we call create an instance. Okay. But so now these ones, I'm not providing any values. I'm not providing any values. So through the configuration file. So instead, I would like to pass the values for these two parameters. So through the command line dynamically, I'm going to run my script. So when I run the script, I want to pass the values for them. Okay. So how do I do that? So let's see now. Just a second. I'm sorry. Thanks for waiting. So how do I pass values for these two parameters? So through the command line, that means from the execution time. Okay. So how do I do that? Right. Now we are not providing any values to them, right? We just leave it blank. Okay. So instead of leave it blank, so what I do, so let me show you the syntax first, then we can proceed with it. Sorry. So this document was uploaded. So usually this is what you do, right? Okay. When, where is the syntax? So this is our syntax. Okay. Well, and here I'm going to define these AMI as a variable, instance type also as a variable. Okay. Or let's just do one thing. So we provide a value to the AMI. Okay, we provide a value to the AMI, but instance type, I would like to provide that through the command line. Okay. So let's give some standard value for that AMI. What value I take? I take some value over here. That's the value AMI. I think this is for Ubuntu. That's the value. Okay. Then what is the instance type? I'm not providing any value to the instance type. Okay. So statically means not in the configuration file. Okay. Instead, I would like to have proceed the pass the values to the instance type dynamically through the command line. Why? Why is it so? Every time when I run the script, it is going to ask me enter the instance type. So that is what I want. So whenever I create my instance, I have a choice of selecting my instance type. So that is what I want to do. So how do we do that? I'm going to define that instance type as in a variable. So how do we do that? Right now, here the syntax is, so first you define the variable, then after that you call the variable. Okay, let me show you the syntax, how to define the variable, how to call the variable. Now I want to make this as a variable. Since you want to make that as a variable, now how to do that? The concept is you define a variable. How to define a variable? So anytime whenever you want to pass value to the variable, you must define the variable first. So variable, and then the variable name. You can give any name to the variable. Okay. So my variable name is, let's say, so my underscore instance type. Okay. Instance type. That's a variable name. And then you give type of the variable. So what is the type of the variable? So there are different types for the variables. So there is a string type and there is a number type. There are different types. Okay. Now I like to go with an type called, what is the type is? It's an string type. Why the string type? What do you mean by a string? String type means, so this variable, my underscore type is a value of string. That means you can provide different values, right? Provide different values. What kind of values? We can provide, say, usually the instance types are something like t2 dot micro, t3 micro, and small instances, large, extra large instance. So when you provide that, that is a string value. That's the reason I want to make that type as a string. Okay. So the variable is defined. This is how you define a variable. So the syntax is variable, variable name, and then open close. Within that, you just within that loop, you provide type is equals to string. Okay, type is equals to string. All right. Then, as usual, you back to your resource. AWS underscore instance is my resource, and there, I already have passed the value to the AMI. I don't want that. I don't want that. Make that as an variable. Instead, I want to make this as an variable. How do we do that? Now, going with. So you call the variable. How to call a variable? Var, okay, dot your variable name. So you see that? That's the syntax. So first you mention the parameter name. Okay, that's the parameter name for the AWS underscore instance, and then that value will be our variable. So where is my variable is? There is my variable. I want to call that variable. Var dot your variable name. So what was the variable name? My underscore instance underscore type. So var dot variable name, nothing but for this instance type, I'm calling a variable. So this is my variable name. How to call a variable? So var dot variable name. Okay. Well, so now, so we have defined a variable, and the variable is assigned to the parameter. That's my parameter. Now, what is the value of the variable then? The value of the variable will be selecting, so through the execution time. Now, for the syntax is clear. So variable, variable name. Okay. So variable name, type of the variable string, and then instance type is equals to var dot variable name. Now you see that var dot variable name, it's not in the double quotations. If that was in double quotations, this is considered as a value, right? If that was in double quotation, that is considered as a value. But this is not a value, that's a variable. In these cases, we don't use double quotations. Like even yesterday, I was calling a value of the VPC, value of the subnet. In those cases, you don't use the double quotations. Okay, fine. Now we save it, and that's our configuration file. And go with Terraform, and then plan. But before we plan it, now you see that it's asking to enter a value. So what is my variable name? So var dot my underscore instance, it's a variable name. It's asking to enter the value. So t2 dot micro, enter. Now, but this is regarding could not load the plugins. That's because of Terraform needs to be initiated, right? Since we have a new Terraform file, sorry, new main.tf file, then initiate it first. Now this is initiated, and you can go with Terraform. Again, you want to plan it, you can plan it. Previously, when I have entered plan, so that was a plugin issue. Now enter the value t2.micro. Now, so you're going to create an instance. One change. You want to run it, Terraform, and then apply. Then the value t2.micro. Now you want to confirm. Now you can confirm. Yes, it is going to create our required instance, which is t2.micro is our required instance type. we can find out on the console. Refresh the console. Initiating. Just again, I think with the okay, this is because of this running status. I close that filter. And what was the instance ID? That's the instance ID, right? Let's see that instance is any instance is initiating. There should be one instance is initiating. Okay, let me just search for that. Okay? Better we search. This is search. Yeah, there is my instance. So which is t2.micro instance, which is initializing. Okay. So, but how about when we destroy? So, yeah, that's what we are trying to look into. So I want to create multiple instances means you can write okay, I'll come back to your question. Let me finish this first. Okay, come back to your question. Now, so go back to your Terraform destroy. Okay, go with Terraform destroy. Now, while destroy, is it going to ask us for the prompt? So instance, which is t2.micro instance type. Now it is going to destroy. Enter. Yes. So will be destroy because that is an parameter, right? That's a parameter. Well, now the question was, can we create multiple instances using same configuration file? Yeah, you can do it. Why not? You can do any number. You can do any number. Let me show you. Okay. Which is restaurant. And you want to create multiple, you can go with multiple. So go with, you want to create multiple instances? Very simple. Just write another resource here. You can go with another resource. So just copy that. Okay. And you can go with multiple resources. Right? So, and then now you're going to create two different instances with different types. Okay, so with different types, you see that now. So that is actually the purpose of these variables. Go ahead, save it, and then so Terraform plan. What is okay? We are given same names. That should not be. Right. Open that. So what happened was the names are same, right? You see that database instance, and the name is the same. Name should not be the same. Okay, I just simply copy paste it. Names cannot be same always. Okay, so give some name here, something like 1. Now plan again. It's asking to enter the value for first instance. Now first instance is t2.micro. Okay, but what is happening here is it's taking the same value for two different instances, right? So if I go with enter, that will be created, but which is not what I want. Okay, I want to create two different instances with two different values. So, but when I was planning it, you see that Terraform plan. So it was asking only to enter the value for this parameter. Since we have only one value defined or one variable defined, we are entering the value for the variable, not for the resource. So you must observe that point. Open that. But what if I want to enter, or what if I want this value also to be prompted? Then you define another parameter there. So you can go with creating another parameter. I mean variable. Okay, go with creating a second variable. Okay, and then so try that. My underscore instance underscore type 1, let's say. Okay, so this is for 1, and then whenever you call the variable here, you change the variable name. Okay. So variable, oh sorry, we haven't defined the whole thing. Right. So open and then close, and then you go with, let's say, type. Okay, type is equals to string, and this variable so we'll be calling in this second instance type. Okay. But the variable name was, that's a variable name, my underscore instance type 1, so give value here 1. Save it, and then so what is that? Terraform, and then plan. Now enter. First you go with t2.micro, and secondly you go with so t3.micro. So you are creating two different instances with your required values, required instance types. Right? That's the advantage with parameter, with variables. So that was clear. But anyway, that was a variables multiple. Then, so if we want, can we pass the variables? Can we pass the values to the variables within the main.tf file itself? As of now, it's whenever we run the script, it's asking us to select the values for the variables, enter the value for the variables. But I want to provide the values for these variables within my script, within this main.tf file. So is it possible? Yes, that is also possible. Okay, that is the previous type. So we have seen that dynamic variables. Dynamically we pass the values to the variables. Apart from this, you also have other option. So you can define the variables in our different files. We come back to that. Okay, we'll try that then. Or shall I go with one more example? I'm just looking for this. Okay, we'll try this example, then we'll go with other example. We'll try this example. I want to define so variables and then values within the script. So let's say I'm creating some different subnets, I'm creating VPCs, I'm creating EC2 instances, and I'm doing a lot of things in it from the main.configuration file. I'm creating number of VPCs, number of subnets, and number of instances, everything on from one single file, one main.tf file. And we have a lot of variables defined in it. Then it might be a bit difficult for us to manage all these variables within main.tf file. So simply what I want to do, I want to define my variables in another file. Okay, so let's define your main.tf file will be there. In main.tf file, we have the script. What script? Your configuration script. But these variables, I want to define them in another file. So which is what we call variables.tf file. I'm going to create a file called variables.tf file. In that variables.tf file, I will be defining my variables. Okay, defining my variables, something like this. And later, okay, let's first try that. Okay, let's remove all these variables. Where I'm not writing everything in main.tf file, I want to make it organized for reusability purpose. So we understand what you mean by reusability, but I want to make it organized. So in Ansible, like we have seen the concept called roles. What is the purpose? You can make it everything organized, right? Now I want to do the same thing. Now I don't want these variables over here. I just want to remove them. Okay, so remove everything from here. All right. So we have normal step, your resource types. Okay, we have only resource types. We don't have variables. Okay, so but okay, also make sure But instance types, we have variables, right? Okay, let's define the, also remove them. We talked about that. So after we create that file, this is normally how to write your configuration file. For instance type, so for both instances, I want to make it as a variable. But where I'm going to define the variable, I will be defining these variables in another file, which is our so variables dot tf file. But that's my file name. I'm going to define variables dot tf, my variables. Okay. Let's see how do we do that. So variable, normal variable syntax, variable name, let's say my underscore instance underscore type 1, variable name, and then the type of the variable, type is equals to string, and then so variable, and then what is that, variable name my underscore instance underscore type 2, and then the type is equals to string. So we have these two. Okay, so we have instance type 1, instance type 2. These are the variables. Now so these variables will be calling in our main.tf file. Now where do I call them? Instance underscore type for the instance 1, and what was that? So how do you call them? As usual, there is no change in the syntax. Var dot my underscore instance underscore type 1, and then for the second instance, okay, var dot my underscore instance underscore type 2. Okay, so now the question is how your main.tf file knows these variables are defined under variables.tf file. How it knows? It knows because of the standardized. So it is conventional. The names of the files are conventional. That's how your Terraform knows that your variables are defined in variables.tf file. Now, as usual, you run your Terraform plan command. Now enter the value for instance 32.micro, and then enter the value for instance 2 type 2. Okay, so let's say t3.micro. Now it is going to provision us 2 instances, right? See that 2 instances will be added. Say I'm not going with apply, I'm going only with the plan. Anyway, plan apply both are same. You can do that from your side, apply command. Just run that Terraform apply. It's all same, right? You know that. Okay. Anyway, so all you need to know is how we define the variables. Now it is organized. Okay, fine. So far so clear. So no issues. What if I want create my I want to define my values also statically. Okay, what do you mean by statically? And for these values, I will be creating a different file, and in that file, I will have all my values defined over there. What values? Your instance types are defined over there. I don't want to make it dynamically. Instead, so I want to make these values statically, but the values will be defining in another file. The file name is terraform.tfvas. Terraform.tfvas. So that's the file name where I'm going to define my variable values. Terraform.tfvas. Okay, here you define the variable. Then, so how do you do that? enter, insert. Now what are those two values? My underscore instance underscore value. When I say values means parameter name, sorry, variable name is equals to value. So type 1, this is the variable name, is equals to the value. What was that? So t2 dot micro. Okay, and then the second variable, my underscore instance underscore type 2, and then which is so t3 dot micro. Okay, so just save it, and then we have 3 files. Main.tf file has your configurations, okay, and then you have terraform.tf bash, okay, variables.tf first. So variables.tf has variables defined in it, and then so what else we have? Terraform.tf bash has values defined in it. Okay, we have these 3 files. Now if I run Terraform plan, it is not going to prompt us for any values. Enter. Straight away it is going to create your 2 instances with 2 different types. Okay. Now what is advantage then? Why we are not going with the dynamically? Why we are going with static kind of thing? So the reason is, so in main.tf file, so we have 2 variables only, right? We have only 2 variables. But when you create your total infrastructure, I'll show you that example tomorrow. When you create a total full infrastructure with VPCs, subnets, gateways, all these things, and then there will be hundreds of variables could be sometimes. If you have too many variables, and for those variables, I cannot pass the values dynamically like what we have done previously, right? So passing the values, so through the command line for those parameters, sorry, for those variables dynamically is never possible. You might be possible, you have very few, but what if you have a number of them? You cannot pass the values. Okay, right. Now in this case, that's why we use so terraform.tf bash. Okay, then so let's define more variables. Main.tf file, open it, and then so for instance 1 type, I'm going to define tags. Okay, so tags also key. What was that name? Key pair or key underscore pair? Let me check that. So I don't remember that key pair or key underscore name something. Is it somewhere here? Did I define it anywhere here? Key underscore name. Right, got it. That is key underscore name. Take the key name. You can take a key name. Okay, let's go with some key name here. Okay, that's a key pair name. Okay, the key pair, and then also define tags for this. Now this is somewhat different. For tags is different. Okay, so we go with the tags, but so the syntax is a little bit different. Okay, so you see that that's different. I'll talk about that, but as of now leave that. Okay. Then for the instance 2, okay, so go with the instance 2, and for this instance 2, so go with your key underscore name. Okay, okay, so why don't we make these ones also variables? Key name, so key name also I want to make it a variable. Make it a variable. Okay, I want simply everything as a variable except the AMI. If you want, you can also make that AMI also variable. We'll try that. And then tags. Okay. And then you want to make even AMI as a variable. So that's always a good practice. Never, don't define anything within the main.tf file. Don't give any values. Okay. So that's a good practice. And even in interviews or anywhere, the scenarios, if they ask you to provide, write some scripts in Terraform. So usually these days, so this is kind of a frequently scenario which is given in interviews. And when you attend an interview, they're asking us to write some scripts in Terraform. Okay. And they're also asking, write any kind of script in Terraform, or else they give you some scenario. I want to create an instance, and can you define, can you just create an instance, different VPCs, subnets? I want to go with some keys and then internet gateways, route tables. So this is a quite common scenario these days. Okay, make sure prepare for that and write these things only in variables, not as in everything main.tf file. So that's a good practice. All right, now we have okay these ones. Then we need to make sure we assign the values. First, we define the variables for them. Okay, define the variables, then we call those variables. Okay, so open our terraform.tf sorry, variables.tf first, variables.tf, then define the variable here. I define more variables, and the variable is variable, and the name of the variable is my underscore instance underscore AMI 1. This is instance 1 AMI. Okay, and then open, close. That is also a type. Now the type is equals to, again I go with string is a type, and then so define port variable, which is my underscore instance underscore AMI2. This is AMI2 for the instance 2. And then so type is equals to, again, which is a string. AMIs are always strings. All right. Then define variable. So what is my variable? So what else we have? We have defined AMIs, and we already have a instance type, and we need the keys, right? Okay. Let's say my underscore instance underscore key 1. Okay. Then type is equals to, again, it's a string. Okay. So variable, and the variable name is my underscore instance underscore key 2. And then again the type is string type. So do we have only string types, or we have some other types? Okay, we have more types. Let's talk about that. Now variable, and let's say my underscore tag, my underscore instance, I say my underscore instance and underscore tag 1. Well, this is somewhat different, and this variable type will be an object type. That will be object type. Why this is an object type? Is equals to object, say it's object. Okay, so why this is an object type? This is an object type because so tags might be multiple tags. Like yesterday I have defined multiple tags. So if you have multiple tags, then so those can be of so different values. You can have multiple tags. Okay, then that tag might have multiple parameters, multiple strings in it, or you can have variables. Right? How do you do that? Now you're defining, I mean, object type. So just like that is what I have done in my script here, object type. Okay, so how do you do that? Open and then close it. These are normal braces. Okay, open, close them. Sorry. So what is that? 1 second. Close it. Okay. Sorry. And then, as usual, we go with curly braces. Okay, curly braces, and there we define our types. So, and what is that? Name is, so name of string type. Okay, name is of string type, string, and then also I'm going with some other thing. Let's say foo is equals to number. That's number type. So that variable, which is my underscore instance tag 1, is a variable, of course, but what is the type of the variable is object. Then a variable can be an object type if that variable has multiple strings in it, sorry, multiple types of variables again, then we go with object type, and that object type has string type, again number type. Okay, so hope that was clear. Understand that. Okay. Now let's do the same thing for, so the second one, variable, and then which is my underscore instance underscore tag 2, and then open and then close. Okay, and then type is equals to object, open, I close it, and within that I define my more parameters. So string, name is equals to string, and then bool is equals to number. Okay, bool equals to number. Okay. Right. Now we call all these variables in our main.tf file. Okay, let's see how do we do that. But while we define them, it should be very careful. So the parameter names, so should be, I mean, values must be matched. Okay. First is AMI for the instance 1. Okay. And then, so what was that? Var dot my underscore instance underscore AMI1. Okay, and then you have key var dot my underscore instance underscore key1, and then so var dot my underscore instance underscore tag 1. Okay, just a second, please be online. Okay, I'm sorry. Am I audible? So if I'm not audible, just let me know. So my network has been disconnected. I log into it again. Yeah, well, go with our variables. And then where are we at? We are at main.df file, right? So was it saved? I think this is not saved. Okay, that's okay. Well, go with var dot and then my underscore instance underscore AMI1, by the way. Then so var dot my underscore instance underscore key1 and then var dot my underscore instance underscore tag1. Okay, then do that for second instance, var dot my underscore instance underscore AMI2 and then var dot my underscore instance underscore AMI, not AMI, what is that, key2 and var dot my underscore instance underscore is tag2, right? So we have these ones, but the next thing is the values for them. Okay, define the values. Where we define the values, save it. Okay, and then now I proceed with variables dot. Okay, so not variables, terraform dot dfvas. See here, we start defining the values now. So first we have instance type, and second is my underscore instance underscore AMI1. We provide some values to this. Which value? Let's take some any value. I would take some random value AMIs. So probably I will be taking some Ubuntu AMI whatever. Take something. Okay. And then for second instance, my underscore instance underscore AMI2. For this, what shall we go with? We can go with some other value. You can take that. Okay, that's AMI. And then my underscore instance underscore key1. Okay, and the key was, what is the key? And I use the key. That's the key. And then so my underscore instance underscore key2, and you can give any other key name if you have, but I use the same key. If you have any, you can do it. And then comes my underscore instance underscore tag1, correct? Tag1 is equals to, then since we have 2 in it, then provide the values. What are they? Name is equals to let's say tf underscore instance 1 underscore tf, let's say tf underscore var something, it gives any name. Okay, just this is just a name, right? You know that. And then other one is foo is equals to some value. This is for instance 1. Then for instance 2, the tag 2 is equals to then name is equals to, I would say, tf underscore var underscore, this is just a name. Okay, it has nothing to do, instance 2, and then go with foo, and then so go with 5 6 7 8 something. Okay, so this is how the objects are useful. Since I have multiple variables within that instance tag 1, instance tag 2, so instance tag 1 is my object, so this is also the second one is also object. When you define that object type, you define the object type if you have multiple variables within that, so that is an object. And the first one within that, this is a string type, this is a number type. Okay, and then now so run the Terraform plan. Let's see. So we have some error. What was that? At line 35 in object in variable my underscore instance tag 2. So what was that? Line 35 in terraform.tf. That's in, what is that file is? So where we define that in line 35, which is terraform.tf was not was, but variables, right? Sorry, variables tf set number. Oops, sorry. Set number. Line 35 says line 35 white line 35. Mhm. What was the error at line 35? Save it. So in variables minus instance tag to 35 expected the start of expression, but found the invalid expression token. I think we missed some, so traces, I think so. Object is equals to
The brackets closing is errors or something.
yeah, that was I'm looking for actually. There must be somewhere here. Do you have it somewhere? Yeah, I think there is some
So,
space, is it?
So you have given the flower bracket inside and outside.
Flower brackets. Braces. Okay, that's open. Okay. What? Okay, that is close. 1 second. That should be okay. Oh, okay. I've given. Okay, fine. Yeah, got it.
reverse.
Yeah.
The order is due.
Yeah, order. Correct. Thank you. So that was the error. Thank you. Well, now Terraform and plan. Oh, a lot of errors we have. Let's find out. Let's go one by one. That's so that we can fix it. It's not a big deal. So variables not allowed. Something first is. Let's find out. Scroll up. Let's go one by one. So name is equals to tf underscore var underscore 1. Okay. Well, you see that. Open these ones. The first one is main.tf5. Right. Just a second. That's in name is equals to. So that's in values actually, right? Terraform.tf_vas. Okay. So these are the values, like I said, always values must be in double quotations, right? what do we define in TF VARs file? We define the values. So this must be the values, has to be in double quotations. That is where it was throwing a lot of errors. So this is the one, and also this one here. These are the values. Okay. And yeah, that should be okay. Let's try. So, Terraform plan. Now this is all good. Only the basic things are missing. It's all good. And then go with Terraform and then apply. So confirm, yes. And it will be creating 2 instances. Okay. So there you have 2 instances with different parameters. Right? So successfully created. Now in case, so I want to create a variable, I want to create an instance with different AMI. For instance 1, you go with instance 1, you change the value, and you want to change that AMI also for instance 1, you can change the values. The only change you need to do is, so tf var files and change the values. That's it. You don't need to do any changes to the main.tf file. You don't need to change the change the variables in variables.tf file. The only file needs to be changed is, so terraform.tf vars. That's the only file. Then you can, or else let me go with different types. Okay, I would say, one second, I go with Terraform destroy. So destroy both of the instances. I have a requirement to create 2 instances for dev environment, to create 2 instances for test environment. Okay, so how do I create them? Right, let's see. So I'm going to create 2 different Terraform TF VARs files. So what is the file name as of now? The file name is terraform.tf var files. So that holds the list of all the values of your environments you're going to create. Okay, but I want to create 2 instances for dev, 2 instances for test. Then how do I do that in a single execution? So totally I want to create 4 instances in a single execution. Okay. Or else, let's say first I want to create dev instances, secondly I want to create test instances. Okay, so how is that possible? Then, but I have only one TF var files, right? I have only one file, but I want to create, so instances for dev, instances for test. How do I create that? So I'm going to rename that tf.var files. So move, so terraform.tf var files to, let's say, dev.tf var files. So instead of, yeah, move, let's say copy, let's say something, copy, and then you can go with even move. Second time you can just move it to test.tf vars. Now you see that we have, so test.tf vars, and also we have dev.tf vars. Now what on that, for what environment I want to create my instances? I want to create for dev environment. Then the syntax would be, I change the little bit change in the syntax. The syntax is terraform apply -var -file, then your file name. Okay, let's say, so terraform apply, yeah. So Terraform apply, and then hyphen was or var, hyphen var, okay, hyphen var, hyphen file. What is my file name for which environment? dev.tfvas. Now we are creating instances for dev environment. Now you go with access, confirm, and we'll be creating for dev. Now I want to go with test. Then what do? So Terraform apply hyphen var hyphen file. Then so the file name was test. That is you're creating for test environment. Yeah. So that is advantage of this creating variables. So with different files. Now, so but these files, yeah, dev or test. Okay. So here we are creating instances for only we are creating instances. We are setting values for them. That's all we are doing. But what if I want to create these all instances with different environments? That means create subnet and all these things, VPCs, and with different route tables and attach them. So I want to go with all of them. So how do I do that? That is what we talk about tomorrow. Tomorrow we're going to create the environments with variables. Okay. So different VPCs, different subnets, and everything will be there. The full environment. Yeah. So let's talk about that in tomorrow's session. So which is an important session tomorrow. Tomorrow's session will be based upon today's session and also yesterday's session. Yesterday I've shown you the idea of VPC subnets idea, creating instances in them. Today we are seeing the variables. Implementing these two into tomorrow's session. How do we create the full infrastructure, full environments? Okay. So like we know these things. We know how to create VPCs, how to create subnets, but we are done through the console, right? We're done through the console, that too. So they have and kind of template concept, right? So go to VPCs. When you go to VPCs, we update those VPCs through the console by using those templates, right? So these, so what are they? On the dashboard we have once including the using that wizard. Okay, that once you do it and you select your subnet, private subnet, all those things. But how do we do that? Through the Terraform steps. Yeah, we don't have wizard concept here, right? We don't have wizards. How do we create VPC subnets like yesterday's, but we'll be doing it in a different way. We attach, we do route tables, we provide so security groups, inbound, outbound rules, all these things. Okay, and then we associate route tables. Fine. So any questions? Yeah.
Sir, offline classes ఉంటాయి సార్ ఆన్లైన్ ఇంకా
So there won't be offline classes for next 2 to 3 weeks. But for you, I didn't. So no more offline classes for you. You're almost about to finish your course. So no more offline classes for you. Yeah. Not only for you. We are not running any online classes for the time being.
సార్ కుబర్నెటిస్ మనకి ఏమైనా పెండింగ్ ఉన్నాయా సార్ లేదంటే
Sorry.
కుబర్నెటిస్ పెండింగ్ ఏమైనా క్లాసెస్ ఉన్నాయా సార్ అయిపోయిందా?
We are done.
సార్ అదే ఇందులో అయితే నేమ్ స్పేసెస్ హెల్మ్ ఉన్నాయి కదా సార్ చెప్పరా?
Sorry.
ఇందులో నేమ్ స్పేసెస్ ఫోటోస్ అవి ఉన్నాయి కదా సార్ అవి డిస్కస్ చేయాలి.
So as of now, that is not covered.
అది ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాదా సార్?
Sorry.
ఆ టాపిక్ ఇంపార్టెంట్ కాదా సార్? అవసరం లేదా?
So as of now, that is not covered. That's what I said. So it's not so important. Yeah. Any more questions? Thank you.
సార్